What's going on, people? Welcome back to our Arsenal transfer news update show. Of course, we every single day give you the latest Arsenal transfer news and rumors. Make sure you hit like buttons up, subscribe, share. That'd be greatly appreciated. As always, leave your thoughts down below. Talking a little bit about the strikers again for Arsenal. Now, obviously, spoken about in the past couple of days some really concrete sort of interest in Gyökeres and how a deal could be very, very close in completing at the start of the window. But we've also been linked with it's kind of like a decision that we may have to make with if we're going to get Gyökeres, it may be and we may have to settle for Benjamin Sesko, of course, from RB Leipzig. And if you have other strikers in there as well, which we'll talk about today, make sure, as I said, you hit like buttons up and leave your thoughts on what striker you prefer down below. But yeah, let's get right into it. So Mikel Arteta will prefer Benjamin Sesko, but Andre Alberta is utilizing the control over transfers. He is pushing ahead a deal for Viktor Gyokeres. Talks are advancing between Arsenal and his representatives, of course. This comes via Sports Pete as well. And also, likes a Gunner Blocker reported very similar to this that Berta really, is trying to push for a move for Gyökeres, but Arsenal still, Arteta really wants Benjamin Sesko. And Arteta's wanted Sesko, guys, for quite a while now. I remember last summer before the Euros, he's really pushing to sign him. I actually thought we were going to sign him. He was I was confident he was going to be a striker that we would sign in the summer before the Euros, but it was down to the player. The player after the Euros made his decision, and he said he wanted to stay. And can you really blame him? I mean, he must look at it thinking he's still young. He saw what Haaland did in Dortmund, stayed there a few years, made a name for himself, and then got him moved to Man City. So maybe he wasn't ready to move to Premier League yet. But that's where, we saw we really wanted him. And then also we tried again, even in the January window, apparently. We was looking to obviously try and move for him in January, but they wanted 70 million. And that was obviously wasn't going to happen. Um, he's Sesko's agent obviously was at the game as well. Was at the Emirates, I think, last year as well. So there's definitely some heavy interest from Arsenal and Mikel Arteta on Benjamin Sesko. But it's more like Berta's came in, and this is what I like to hear, right? Andre Berta is utilizing his control over transfers, right? This is exactly what we need from a director. All right. We don't need no yes man anymore. We need someone who, comes in and has a bit of control. That's exactly what we need. Someone to challenge in negotiations, someone to sort of challenge his manager as well. And yeah, at the end of the day, for me, you know, I think the main guy should be Gyökeres. I think we're gonna talk about why I think, and we're gonna compare both these players. But you know, Ante wants Sesko, but it seems to want more Gyökeres, and that's been very evident. This is very true that Bert has wanted Gyökeres since the days of Atletico Madrid. So he's carrying that over. He still rates him really highly. He's also seen how he's been doing this season as well. How he's one of the most informed, if not the best striker. I know you got Isak there, Harry Kane. Lewandowski's had a great season, but I think Gyökeres is certainly up there. And yeah, Bert really wants him, and I think we need to now sort of let Berta cook. As simple as that, really. I don't want anything sort of to get in their way. Berta and Arteta having disagreements on this and that. You know, I know they're both strikers, and I would take either of them. But I think the one I want is Viktor Gyökeres. He's a guy I think is doing it more. He's more proven for me. I think that's the one thing I'll say. Gyökeres has proved it more so far. Now, it's not to say that Sesko's had a bad season because he's done all right in the Bundesliga, but Gyökeres I see as a more proven player because number one, he's been in England already. He knows the English league, playing for Coventry City. He's been in the Championship. He scored goals for fun in the Championship as well. He knows the league. All right, he knows the league very well. It's a very, very tough league, the Championship, very physical league. Many players have come from the Championship and have done really well in the Premier League. Let's not forget that. That's not a few of the Brentford lot, Tony, Watkins, these types of players. I'm sure there's a few. I think Bale as well, right? Yeah, I'm sure there's a few who have came from Championship and they've done really well and they've excelled in the Premier League. Some players maybe not, but when you watch the guy in the Championship, this guy had a very, very good season. He was one of the best strikers in the Championship. That was proven. I think it was. It might have been. Was it Tom Locker? It might have been Tom Locker, the Luton Town player. The one who has the heart the hop is it the heart the pacemaker, right? He played against him in the playoff final, and he said in literally he was he said in his interview or something after obviously because he collapsed that game, didn't he, as well? But he was talking about Gyökeres in that as well, and he's saying Gyökeres was one of the best, is the best strikers he's came up against. So hard to deal with him apparently as well. So he certainly proved himself already in the championship with Gyökeres. So he's done it in England for me. That's why I say for me he's a lot more proven. And then when you look at compare both the players this season, Gyökeres is currently up here compared to him. And I know people say about the Portuguese league and all this, but Gyökeres also carried it over in Champions League and in Europa League football as well. He's done it in Europe. He's done it in Europe. He's done it on the big stage. And, you got to play what's in front of you, number one. And number two, it's not like he's just, scoring only 20 goals or, he's doing all right. He's absolutely ripping it to shreds. Yeah, I said out of all the leagues, he's one of the most informed strikers. Scored the most goals out of any other player, I'm pretty sure, in, this season in all competitions. He's an absolute killer in front of goal. And for me, I look at someone like Benjamin Sesko, right? Who I don't think is a bad player. I'll say this first. I don't think Sesko's a bad player by any means. I think he's more, I say aerially, sort of more, yeah, he kind of reminds me as another sort of style of how Havertz sort of plays with Arsenal in terms of his aerial threat, if that makes sense. But very, very powerful, same as Gyökeres, you know, decent on the ball as well. But I just still think he's very, very raw. And I think you got to look at it like this. I still think he's got a lot to prove in terms of the Bundesliga. That's probably why even himself, I think even he knows it as well. That's why he didn't want to move, when he could have moved in the summer. He said, I want to stay with Leipzig. I want to have another season. I want to prove myself in Germany. I want to stay in Germany what Haaland did. I want to I want to make my main, I can't get my words out. I want to make a name for myself in Germany. And he's doing all right this season, but I look in still younger player, 21, still raw player, more like a project type of signing that you would go and sign. I just think that Gyökeres is a bit more proven than what someone like Sesko is. I'm not calling Sesko a bad player. I'd be disappointed if we didn't get Gyökeres. I really would. There should be no reason why we couldn't get Gyökeres. And I would prefer Gyökeres over Sesko. But at the same time, you know, Sesko, I wouldn't say no to him coming to Arsenal. I wouldn't, because I think he's shown some good signs, Sesko, but at the same time, I just think he's got a lot to prove still. And it's a question of, can he come over to England and produce what he's sort of doing over there playing for Leipzig? And he's doing well, but it definitely can be better, in my honest opinion. It definitely can be better. But I look at both players. I think both of them would suit Arsenal. But I just have a preference more for Viktor Gyökeres personally, guys. Just because, number one, I've seen a lot more of him than I have of Sesko anyway. But also, number two, he's got a track record. He's a lot more proven than Sesko is. Doing, he's just taking a mick how many goals he's been scoring. Can also drift out really well, to the left hand side. I think he's actually a winner as well at times. Gyökeres, I think he actually played on the win as well in the start of his career. So I just lean more towards Gyökeres. I think he's done it more. I think he's proved himself a lot more. And it's not nothing against Sesko, but I hope we do go, and I hope Arteta can agree with Berta. I'm sure he is going to agree with Berta, guys. I'm sure he is going to sit there and say, all right, fair enough. Let's go for Gyökeres. I'm sure Arteta sees what Gyökeres does. I'm sure Arteta knows what Gyökeres, but I don't know. Certain managers, they want these certain players, man. That's the thing. They want these certain players, and sometimes it causes a bit of conflict. It causes a bit of controversy with a director. If he's saying no, I want Sesko, but then Berta saying no, I want Gyökeres. Do you know what I'm trying to say there? But I don't think it'll get to that stage. But either one for me, I'd be very disappointed. I'll say this: if Gyökeres goes to a different club and we get Sesko, I would be a bit disappointed. I'll be honest with you. But why not go for both? No, it's not going to happen. But obviously, in terms of quality, the price tags, Gyökeres is actually more reasonable and the best options to go with in terms of money compared to what Sesko is as well. That's the one point I wanted to make. You know, we're paying for a player in Gyökeres who has, what was it, 70 mil? Um, well, just under 70 mil agreement to obviously sign Gyökeres. Spawn will let him go for, I think it might be 65 now. Something crazy like that, where Sesko is more of like 75, 70 million pounds, that is. So yeah, I think it's like 80 mil euros I saw the other day. His price has gone up massively. It makes sense to go more Gyökeres in my opinion. But I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. As always, come on, you Gunners.